Priscilla.
Thanks, Priscilla. It's great to hear Priscilla getting her marching orders, isn't it? She's on fire. Tommy Stevens, you're looking swole, buddy. Eat some vegetables already. He's scaring me.
Chocolate milk only.
Chocolate milk. I'll try that. So, if you have your Bibles, turn to Matthew 16, verse 24. The title of my talk is Why Martyrs Matter. Why Martyrs Matter. Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done." Amen. You know, when I was in high school, I learned what could be described as how to be a covert Christian. I learned certain ways in which you can reach out to people and share your faith with them without being so Christian-y, right? And I have such a value for that. You know, we learn just, okay, first of all, you don't have to be a dork to be a Christian, and it's better to not be a dork when you're trying to share your faith. And some of us can control that more than others. But and you don't want to cause scandal. You want to love people. We talked about earning the right to be heard, which means you love people first, and then you share with them. And I value those things, and I really see the way in which we love people well. So I value the covert Christianity model. But as I get older, there's also a part of me that really honors and affirms the public proclamation of the gospel, the public affirmation of who we are and what Jesus has done for us. Amen? So I also admire the guy, the trucker for Jesus who, gets a tattoo of Jesus with the crown of thorns on his chest, because he wants everybody to know he's crossed the line. He's crossed the line, and he belongs to Jesus. And, I would kind of like to picture it this way. I'd love for, on the day of my death, for everyone who knows me to get, a little Post-it note. And on the Post-it note, it would be like a PS to my life, and it would just say, by the way, everything good that you saw in my life was because of my association, my friendship with Jesus. And everything that wasn't so good was because of me. And, we don't get to do that, do we? We don't have that opportunity. We don't get to choose the moment when we die. And I just want to encourage you in this talk to be seeking ways to be a witness, a public witness, to stand for Jesus and acknowledge him before others. Amen? So, we've talked about disciples. We've talked about prophets. We've talked about apostles, and now we're going to talk about martyrs. How many of you heard of talk about martyrs before? It's not a very popular talk, is it? When you think about martyrs, you think, ooh, martyrs. People don't like to talk about martyrs because martyrs don't typically die in wonderful ways. It's a person who dies often violently because they chose Jesus and death over life without Jesus. And so we talked about how, not all of us are called to the office of an apostle, but we're all called to be apostolic, right? Not all of us are called to the office, I'm going to be a prophet, but we're all called to speak prophetically. And we saw the fruit of that in Priscilla's testimony. All the people that spoke prophetically and used their gifts had an impact on that trip. So, not all of you are called to, not all of you will die a martyr's death. So, relax. breathe out, but we're called to live the life of a martyr. So I want to show you what that means. We learned about disciples. Disciples are people who learn, and we sit at the feet of Jesus and we imitate him. Disciples are identified by their teachers, and the teachers leave a mark on their life. And the thing about a disciple is the disciple shares the destiny of Jesus. If I want to follow him, I need to share in his destiny. There is a choice that we need to make. Is it going to be my life, or is it going to be his life? Is it going to be my way, or is it going to be his way? Is it going to be what seems best for me, or is it going to be Jesus' way, which often looks like death? I love the disciples when Jesus said that he was going to go see his friend Lazarus who had died. He said, we're going to see Lazarus, and the disciples said, all right, well, we're going to die. They thought they were going into certain death, and Jesus was bringing them towards resurrection. Take up your cross. What does it mean? To take up your cross means you need to grab the thing that's going to kill you. To take up your cross means grabbing and taking hold of the thing that is going to kill you. Why? And this is why I don't want you to I don't want you to be overwhelmed by this message. It's a good message because martyrdom, being a martyr, is not just about death, but it's about choosing Jesus. That's what it's really all about. It's choosing Jesus. Why do we choose the cross? Why do we grab our cross? Because Jesus is going that way too. That's the only reason. And I think about, my life, and I think about, maybe some people don't understand Jesus, and maybe some people hate Christians, and maybe some people would like to throw an egg at a Christian, or say some nasty things to a Christian. And I just think, that means I get to stand next to Jesus and get an egg thrown at me, man, that's an awesome egg. I'd rather it not be a rock. But if I can associate with Jesus in his suffering, in those moments where people don't understand, or people are negative, or people don't respond the way I want them to, what a privilege. We sang that, what a beautiful name is the name of Jesus. It's not about what you have to go through, it's about who you're with and who you're choosing and how worthy he really is. Amen? First point. The word martyr means witness. So a martyr is a witness. Witnesses testify to what they've seen and heard. Okay? So that's what you do. They take the stand and they swear to relay the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth about what I've seen and what I've heard. That's what a witness does. John writes, that which we have seen, that which we have touched, that which we have heard, these things we proclaim to you. So Jesus is not asking you to take responsibility for revelation you haven't received. He's simply asking you to take responsibility for what you have received. There are moments in your life, there's everyday moments in your life when you encounter people, and there's opportunities for you to take what you've already received, the revelation that you have, and to just stand on it, just to witness to it. Now, what does taking our cross have to do with being a witness? And this is my second point. The second point is that a martyr makes a testimony out of his life and death. A martyr makes a testimony out of his life and death. So every martyr gets a choice between the life that he has and the life he's found in Jesus. For martyrs, there's a choice. There's a moment that comes, and in that choice, he measures the cross in his hands against the privilege of being with Jesus, and he considers it worthwhile. So the cross in one hand and knowing Jesus in the other, and knowing Jesus tips the scale. Knowing Jesus makes it worthwhile. If you've ever read St. Ignatius of Antioch. He wrote his disciples, from prison, and he was giving them final instructions, and he said, don't pray for me that I'd be released from this prison. Don't pray for me that I would be spared this ordeal. He talked about just his longing to give everything for Jesus, to have the opportunity to give it all. Number 3, a martyr surrenders every moment to Jesus. So in one moment, they take all of the moments of their life and they make a gift of it to Jesus. Okay, I'm setting this up for us because there's a way in which we're going to imitate this. How many of you remember the movie Braveheart? One of my favorite movies. And all the Scottish soldiers, they're lined up and they're getting ready to leave. They're scared. And William Wallace takes the field. He's on his horse and he says, "Will you fight?" And one of them calls out and he says, "No, we will run and we'll live." And this was Wallace's response. "I fight and you may die. Run and you'll live, at least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now, would you be willing to trade all of those days from this day to that for one chance? Just one chance to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom." And they charge. The martyr makes that choice. Every day is a gift from God. I have such a precious gift. I have these so many days. And I take that day, from this day to that day, and I lay it all before Jesus to say, I have the privilege of being with him. That's what it's all about. You may never get that moment. A martyr takes all of the days of his future and makes them a sacrifice to the one he loves. He makes a full and final choice. Jesus is worthy of my every day. If you've ever read the existential philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, he said that if a man is aware of his human condition, and it will lead him to make decisions that are not only good for himself, but all humanity. So if a man chooses marriage, he not only believes marriage is good for him, but he believes that the act of marriage is good for all men. There's a way in which your life declares something. It makes a positive statement that people must reckon with. Have you ever experienced that? You just mention that you're a Christian to someone, and you see a reaction in them, or they see the way you're living your life, and there's parts of them are in conflict. They want to justify their lives. They're comparing their life to yours, and they're seeing something, and there's a hunger being awakened. I was just in a gym class the other day, and I went up to the instructor, and I was talking to her, and I just mentioned, I'm in full-time ministry, and I go to this parish, and so on and so forth. And you could see it in her face. There was a tension. She said, we belong to St. Denis, but, she gave me that look like, we don't really go, And I wish I was able to break through at that moment and help her name that desire, that there is something in her that's being provoked by my witness that she wants, that she could have, she wants a relationship with God. So a martyr declares with his death that Jesus is good for all men, right? There's no questioning a martyr's decision because he doesn't get a do-over, right? There's no do-over. It's undeniable in its force and its finality because he can't really give anything after that. He chooses Jesus for himself and for all men. Jesus said, "Greater love has no man than this, than a man laid down his life for his friends." You really can't argue with a martyr, can you? You can't question his sincerity. What does this have to do with me, you're saying? What is true of a martyr's death is true of your every single day. Don't believe me? Go to Luke 9. Jesus changes the script a little bit in this one. He says, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. Ooh. So what the martyr does in one moment, we are called to do in every moment. We are called to do at what he does at the end of his life, we are called to do at the beginning of every single day. So I want to give you 5 questions to ask yourself. 5 questions to challenge you in the way of a martyr. Number 1, who do I belong to today? Who do I belong to? Do I belong to myself, to do what I please, to go where I want, to think what I think, or do I belong to Jesus? John 21:18, Jesus said to Peter, I love Peter because Peter was the martyr and he was also the anti-martyr. He got 2 chances at it. He was successful once. John 21, this is after Peter fails. Do you love me, Peter? Lord, you know that I love you. And this is what he says. Jesus says to Peter, Peter, there will come a day when you will stretch out your hands and someone will dress you and take you where you do not want to go. And then he says, follow me. Follow me. Some days everything's going to go your way. Some days you got your agenda, you got things you want to get done, and it's just going to be easy peasy, just really productive. And then some days, nothing will happen like you want it to. You know that expression, life is full of surprises? It really is. Life is absolutely full of surprises. You know, many of us were at Mary Obel's memorial service. Yes, was it yesterday? Yeah. And it was a surprise. It was a surprise for her family, you know, that the Lord called her home at that time. You know, I wonder if she got to heaven and was like, Lord, thought I was gonna wake up. You know, I thought I was gonna have another day, or I thought I was gonna have 2 more years. But Jesus just says, follow me. Question number 2. Do I value my life and everything in it more than my relationship with Jesus? I'm not giving you these questions to shame you. I'm not giving you these questions to make you feel bad. I'm giving you these questions because this is, according to Jesus, this is the way to freedom. If you want to be free, you have to lose your life. Amen? It's the way. Do I value my life and everything in it more than my relationship with Jesus? 1 Corinthians 7, verse 29. Those who have wives should live as though they did not. Those who weep should live as those who do not. Now, I'm not encouraging you to live as though you don't have a wife. You should listen to your wife. That's not what Jesus is saying. But this value, this concept of detachment, Christian detachment is not getting rid of your emotions. We still weep, right? But we weep, and as we weep as those who do not. So in other words, Paul is saying, time is short. Jesus is calling you. He's calling you to follow. And that sense of detachment is not detached from your heart. It's not detached from the people in your life. You're called to love them. But it's all to be held with open hands. Everything. Your relationships, your finances, your job, your career, and your last breath. Every moment of your life, you're called to hold it with open hands, to live as though you do not. It's not mine. These kids don't belong to me. They're not my possession. They belong to you. So we're not Jedi. We don't live, completely serene and no emotions, and we don't love, but we live with the freedom to offer it all to Him. Question number 3. Do I depend on my abilities or the power of God? Do I live as though it's all up to me? Or do I live as though it's all up to God? You know, this summer and I'm the worst at this because Jen and I we're doers. If we can do it, we'll do it. And a lot of times I find myself realizing that I'm not asking the Lord, I'm not asking Him if He wants me to do it. And this summer has been great because I've had these needs and there's been a couple things that came up. One of them was a need for a car. And my car was doing pretty badly. There was no air conditioning. The kids on my street, they like to put gum on my car. Every day I was getting gum put on my car. So it was like a festering wound. It was like, God, I really could use a car, but I just can't get a car right now. You know, and there are sometimes, you know, oh, we can work this and we can make this happen, and I could lease a car, I could just do this. Or I could just let go of it and say, Lord, I need you. I really need this. I need your provision. I need what you want. And I did that, and I shared my need with a couple people. And it really, within a few weeks, somebody gave me a car. A really great, highly functional, the kind of car that Jen would have picked. Not the car that I would have picked. The kind of car that Jen wanted me to get, but the car that I never would have been able to get myself. 1 Corinthians 2, verse 4. My message and my preaching were not with persuasive words of wisdom, but with demonstrations of the Spirit's power. The life of a martyr, the life of a witness, is to simply proclaim the message that you've been given and let God show up. Let God move in power. Number 4. This is a big one. Do I want to be anonymous or go with Jesus to the cross? Do I want to be anonymous or go to Jesus? Go with Jesus to the cross. In John 18:25, John points out that Peter warmed himself by the fire. And Luke pointed out the same thing. Peter, when he should have been with Jesus, when he betrayed not only Jesus, but he betrayed himself, right? Peter said, I will follow you. Even though all betray, I will follow you to the end, Lord. Peter betrayed himself because he wanted to be warm. In John 18:25, John points it out again. He says, Peter still warming himself by the fire. And I say this because I want you to know this, that witnessing to Jesus is never comfortable. It's never comfortable. Whether you're doing the covert Christianity thing that's, you know, you're hip and you're cool and you're, you know, coming alongside people, or whether you're wearing the tattoo, it's never comfortable to stand and be a witness because you are putting yourself open for judgment. You're open to judgment, to be judged by the world. And anonymity is comfortable. It is comfortable. The world will love you if you just remain faceless, nameless, harmless, no threat to anybody. Do I want to be anonymous or go with Jesus to the cross? And finally, number 5, do I want to be accepted or do I want Jesus' reward? Jesus says at the end of this passage, the Son of Man will come with his angels and reward those. He will be coming with his reward. If you don't think that Jesus cares about your public confession of him, look up some scriptures. Luke 12, verse 8. Whoever confesses me before men, I will confess before angels. Other passage, he says, whoever confesses me publicly, I will confess before my Father. How many of you want to be introduced by Jesus? Wow. Just one word from him. You want the Lord to introduce you. You want his friendship to be the statement about your life. The biggest question, what all these questions boil down to is this. It's the same question that everybody else is asking. Where can I find life? Where can I find life? Can I find my life in my own pursuits? Can I find my life in the things that I'm doing and the pursuits and all the good things that I have? Can I find life there? Am I trying to save my life? Or can I lose it for Jesus so that I might find it? What is it you're trying to save? What is it that you're trying to hold on to? Just think about that. What is it that you'd rather not lose today? A job, a loved one, finances, any good thing that you put in your life. Does it fulfill my soul like Jesus? So here's the thing. We're guaranteed a happy ending, but it's not necessarily a happy ending in this life. You know, we get inundated with motion pictures, and the motion pictures, everybody's life ends up happy, right? But we're not guaranteed that the end of our life is going to be the best or the happiest. But we are guaranteed an eternally happy ending. The best way to awaken faith is to proclaim what you believe, to share it, to say what it is, to take responsibility for the revelation you've been given. When you find a pearl of great price, you sell what you have and you buy the field, right? Have you found the pearl but balked at the price? Are you looking at the pearl? Are you measuring it and saying, yeah, but I really like all of my stuff. I really like all this that I'm attached to, and I really don't want to let go. Jesus says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. To let go of your life and everything good in it is the greatest act of love for your own soul. The greatest thing you can do to love your own soul is to let go of your life and give it to Jesus. Jim Elliot, who was a martyr, said this: he is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose. Last point. This is my favorite. Martyrdom hurls Satan down. Go to Revelations 12. This is really cool. You guys doing all right? I'm sleepy today. Talking about martyrs.
Very sobering words.
Revelation 12, verse 10. Well, let's read 9. The great dragon was hurled down, the ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before God day and night, has been hurled down. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Therefore, rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. So I don't know how that works. For some reason, God allows Satan, I don't know if he's actually in heaven or he's just before heaven, and he's accusing the brethren. He's accusing the brothers and the sisters day and night. Oh, he's got this sin, and oh, he's got that sin, and oh, he's disqualified, and oh, he's got unbelief in his life, and, you know, he's accusing the world of sin. And in Revelation 12:11 it says, they triumphed over him. Who? The martyrs. They triumphed over Satan by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. So I just want you to picture that. Maybe Satan's, in the outer courts, and he's hurling this stuff at the saints. He's hurling his accusation. And then the martyrs come in. Those who did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death, but they offered their life for love of him. And it says he was triumphed. He was defeated by two things. So two things are introduced. The blood of the Lamb. There's no more justification for an accusation. There's no more place for our guilt, our shame, our sickness has been dealt with, has been taken away. The blood of the Lamb has made them clean. But then there's something else, and that is the word of their testimony, the public declaration, I believe in Jesus. And I just picture the Father saying, all right, devil, it's time for you to go. You can't stay here anymore because of the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. If that's true in heaven, and we're called, let heaven come down. Let it be done on earth as it is in heaven. How valuable is your testimony? How valuable is your public affirmation that Jesus is Lord? Our witness to Jesus serves as a judgment upon Satan. How do you like that? We enter the throne room by the blood of Jesus. and we proclaim the word of our testimony, and the enemy has to go. How many of you like that song, Give Me Jesus? Give me Jesus. You can take the whole world, but give me Jesus. I just want to invite you to ask those questions this week, to ask the Lord for opportunities, to publicly affirm what you believe in your heart, what you know, and what you maybe you didn't think was relevant, maybe you didn't think it was important for someone else to hear. But just to say, Lord, I want to be with you today. I want to be identified with you. I want people to know. I want the people in my life to know everything good that you see in me is because of my relationship and friendship with him. And everything that's not so good is because of me. Amen? Let's pray. Father, I thank you for inviting us to lose. Lord, because sometimes we think we have so much to lose. And sometimes we think we're holding on and we're benefiting ourselves. And Jesus, you're the only one who's worthy of our trust. Like we can look at those things, those idols, those things that we cling to, those attachments, and we can say, Lord, you're worthy. I trust you. I let it go. Thank you, Lord, for the witness of the martyrs, of those who have stood and in a moment given their futures into your hands. Thank you for their witness, their testimony. Thank you for the power of their stand and the way they encourage us, the way they empower us by their example. Jesus, it is a privilege and honor to be identified with you, to be known by your name, to be called by your name. Lord, whatever may come, whatever we face, we don't doubt that you will bring us good things. And we don't doubt, Lord, that every day is a precious gift from you. But Lord, we want to hold the door open for others. And if that means persecution, if that means misunderstanding or confusion or antagonism, Lord, let it be. Let us hold the door for the next person. Let us proclaim the goodness of our Father. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.